Freedom is the recognition of necessity. Just as Darwin discovered the law of development of organic nature, so Marx discovered the law of development of human history, the simple fact, hitherto concealed by an overgrowth of ideology, that mankind must first of all eat, drink, have shelter and clothing, before it can pursue politics, science, art, religion, etc. The state is nothing but an instrument of oppression of one class by another, no less so in a democratic republic than in a monarchy. All history has been a history of class struggles between dominated classes at various stages of social development. Some laws of state aimed at curbing crime are even more criminal. From the first day to this, sheer greed was the driving spirit of civilization. Everything must justify its existence before the judgment seat of reason, or give up existence. The state is not abolished, it withers away. The proletariat uses the state not in the interests of freedom but in order to hold down its adversaries, and as soon as it becomes possible to speak of freedom, the state as such ceases to exist. The need of a constantly expanding market for its products chases the bourgeoisie over the whole surface of the globe. It must nestle everywhere, settle everywhere, establish connections everywhere. Nothing is easier than to give Christian asceticism a socialist tinge. Has not Christianity declaimed against private property, against marriage, against the state? Has it not preached in the place of these, charity and poverty, celibacy and mortification of the flesh, monastic life and mother church? Christian socialism is but the holy water with which the priest consecrates the heart burnings of the aristocrat. Let the ruling classes tremble at a communistic revolution. The proletarians have nothing to lose but their chains. They have a world to win. The bourgeoisie has torn away from the family its sentimental veil, and has reduced the family relation to a mere money relation. The distinguishing feature of communism is not the abolition of property generally, but the abolition of bourgeois property. The theory of the communists may be summed up in the single sentence: abolition of private property. The communists disdain to conceal their views and aims. They openly declare that their ends can be attained only by the forcible overthrow of all existing social conditions. Society as a whole is more and more splitting up into two great hostile camps, into two great classes, directly facing each other, bourgeoisie and proletariat. In proportion as the exploitation of one individual by another is put an end to, the exploitation of one nation by another will also be put an end to. In proportion as the antagonism between classes within the nation vanishes, the hostility of one nation to another will come to an end. Do you charge us with wanting to stop the exploitation of children by their parents? To this crime we plead guilty. The communist revolution is the most radical rupture with traditional property relations. No wonder that its development involves the most radical rupture with traditional ideas. The bourgeoisie cannot exist without constantly revolutionizing the instruments of production, and thereby the relations of production, and with them the whole relations of society. The immediate aim of the communist is the same as that of all the other proletarian parties: formation of the proletariat into a class, overthrow of the bourgeois supremacy, conquest of political power by the proletariat. The history of all hitherto existing societies is the history of class struggles. Communism deprives no man of the power to appropriate the products of society. All that it does is to deprive him of the power to subjugate the labor of others by means of such appropriation. The communists fight for the attainment of the immediate aims, for the enforcement of the momentary interests of the working class, but in the movement of the present, they also represent and take care of the future of that movement. Does it require deep intuition to comprehend that man's ideas, views and conceptions, in one word, man's consciousness, changes with every change in the conditions of his material existence, in his social relations and in his social life? By bourgeoisie is meant the class of modern capitalists, owners of the means of social production and employers of wage labor. By proletariat, the class of modern wage laborers who, having no means of production of their own, are reduced to selling their labor power in order to live. All history has been a history of class struggles, of struggles between exploited and exploiting, between dominated and dominating classes at various stages of social development. No nation can be free if it oppresses other nations. Freedom is the recognition of necessity. Terror consists mostly of useless cruelties perpetrated by frightened people in order to reassure themselves. Without analysis, no synthesis. Freedom does not consist in any dreamt of independence from natural laws, but in the knowledge of these laws, and in the possibility this gives of systematically making them work towards definite ends. In a political struggle of class against class, organization of trade unions is the most important weapon. Ideas often kindle each other, like electrical sparks. The emancipation of woman will only be possible when woman can take part in production on a large, social scale, and domestic work no longer claims anything but an insignificant amount of her time. We find two great gangs of political speculators, who alternately take possession of the state power and exploit it by the most corrupt ends. The nation is powerless against these two great cartels of politicians who are ostensibly its servants, but in reality dominate and plunder it. The free development of each is the condition for the free development of all. Don't forget any affront done to you and to all our people. The time of revenge will come and must be put to good use. From the first day to this, sheer greed was the driving spirit of civilization.
We have many more stories for your listening pleasure. If you liked this story, then please share this story with your friends on social media. Thank you for your kindness.